we are back in the garage today. I am going to do a new mudguard for the BM. So this mudguard is actually off my little Yamaha XS 400. It does fit the BM, but it's just looking old and shabby now. Can you see that? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to overlay this one with fresh carbon, and we're going to make a new one. So this mudguard, I had to make some side brackets just here to fit onto the BM. So what I am now doing with the tape is I am going to bridge that gap, where that little gap there that we've got. I'm going to bridge that with the tape, so obviously when we put resin on, the resin doesn't go in there and form a bond. So that is the first job. I've kind of nearly done it now, so we'll just put the last bits on. There we go. That's all. That's glued on now. Just a bit of old, bit of old pallet there, wooden pallet with some super glue in the corners. Quite a lot of super glue actually. Let's hope it comes off. Right then, this is another day on from the previous clip. So I have now wrapped this in the packing film, and it's not as nice as I would have liked it actually. Quite a few wrinkles, but it's reasonably tight over there. The fact that we're having probably 3 or 4 layers of carbon on top of this, the crinkles aren't really going to matter. They're certainly not going to show. It's just I quite like to get things nice, but yeah, it was a pain. That's why I didn't record it, because it was just like, yeah, that was a bit of a fighter, that was. So we're done with that bit now anyway. So yeah, just wrapped it in there, and like I say, that will be our release. That will be our release agent as such. So obviously the original mudguard and all that is completely protected and sealed, so but that'll be fine. We'll just whack the carbon on top now, and that should be good. Right then, let's whiz up a little bit of resin. So I've got my pot there, got my scales. Scales are set to 0. So this is a 100 by 30 ratio. So essentially all I'm going to do to start with is coat this, and then we're going to let the resin tack and then put the first layer of carbon on. That is all covered, and I think I am going to play it safe and wait for that to tack over. So yeah, we'll come back in a while. Yeah, right then. So we did have issues, or I did have issues, major issues. So basically what happened was I brushed the resin onto the mudguard, or the cellophane stuff. I was going to leave it to set, and I came back half an hour later, and basically it all kind of separated and pretty much all run off. So it was pretty much dry. So what I then had to do was rebrush it with some resin, and then I've literally put the carbon, a layer of carbon over it, and as you can see, to hold it, I have now wrapped it in this like cling film stuff. So hopefully that now is going to hold the carbon in place. Carbon's, it's funny stuff. Sometimes people think it conforms really, really, really well. And it does under certain conditions, i.e. maybe the shape of the mould or the plug that it's going over. The problem with this carbon is what I didn't realise when I ordered it. Well, I did realise, but I don't think you can really see it. But this carbon has actually got, you can maybe see it glittering, kind of glittering. This carbon's got like a glue sprayed, dusted onto it. So it keeps the fibres all even, so they don't sort of fray out of place. It's quite hard to try and do it, but it's kind of elasticy. There you go. And it kind of springs back to where it was. But the only problem with this is when you're trying to do something that you're not vacuum bagging, it doesn't conform very well at all. So that's basically the issue that I'm having. But fingers crossed I've managed to save it. It doesn't look good, fully aware of that. But you know, we might as well show these things, because hopefully people will learn from silly people like me trying to cheat, which is basically what we're trying to do. We're trying to cheat to make a carbon fibre mudguard. So there we go. Hopefully I'll come back to this, and hopefully we'll pull this off, and we'll be able to then recoat it with some resin and carbon. I'm probably going to have to do the same thing again, put the carbon over it, and then wrap it in this cellophane. We're kind of making a vacuum as such. If we were pulling a vacuum, that's what would happen. It would pull the vacuum bag all over tight onto this. But it kind of feels alright. It looks like I've got all the air voids, so I'm hoping that I can save it. If not, we'll have to start again, won't we? Right, so this is the next day. Last night I did come out and look at it, and it had kind of gelled over and kind of started to harden. But I did put the excess resin in the fridge to keep it cold. Sometimes, well, not that will prolong the life slightly. So this had cured enough. So I still had some resin left over. So basically I pulled all this off and then relayed another skin of carbon on top with the leftover resin that is now obviously gone hard. So this has actually had two layers of carbon. So I'm going to pull all this off, and hopefully we'll be all right to wet this resin over and then put one final layer on. So we'll pull this off and have a look at the result, see if we've managed to save it. Yeah, so this was quite a task actually. It's a bit of a messy old business sometimes, especially when you're trying to cheat. Like I say, this is not the correct way to do it, but I don't have time to make a new mudguard and vacuum bag it and all that rubbish, so we're going to do it the donkey way, so to speak. But actually, it looks okay. Like I say, if we can get one more layer of carbon on this, then that'll be perfect. That'll work out really well. And actually, it's looking okay at the minute. Oh, look at that. There we go. Oh yeah, that's all right. Well, there we go. Doesn't look too bad actually. It's yeah, it's quite, yeah, it's conformed to the shape pretty well. We can definitely see our lines and edges, and yeah, not too bad at all. That's considering how it started. I'll scuff this over, just give it a key for the next bit of resin. We should be all right. Right then, off we go. We've got our resin mixed. That was a good start, wasn't it? So we've got our resin mixed, and I'm going to just brush a coat. This is a different resin actually. This is now like skinning resin. So it is it's thinner, and yeah, it's you don't get as many air bubbles with it. It's designed purely as a resin to go, to basically go on the outside of your carbon and then be flatted and polished. So it's so it's a lot thinner, so it wets out a lot easier and brushes on really quite nicely actually. There we go. Right. I've got a feeling this is going to be a pain, but we'll try our best. Let me get my stool, because I'm not quite tall enough from the bench, but my bench has to be so high so I can get bike under it. Right, way up. Let's get this on. Try and get this on nice and even, nice and straight. It's not bad. There we go. Wow. Excuse me. Right, how is this? This isn't gonna stay put. I know it isn't. Oh well. We'll have to fight with this a little bit as well, I think. Yeah, no, that's picking up. See, that's picking up at the ends here when I squash it down. Again, that is all that is purely because these strands are kind of glued slightly still. So what we're going to have to do, because I don't really want to sheet this, I want to put resin on the outside and leave it. So what I'm going to have to do is carefully mask that down. So I'm going to put you on warp speed for that, because that's going to be a long, tedious job. Right, so that was no fun whatsoever. But there we have masking tape all around it, and that is now holding the the carbon onto the resin that we've put onto it. So it looks quite neat. I'm just hoping that as it's drying, nothing kind of lifts. Like I say, this is not the way to do it, but we are slowly getting there. And there we go. So that's had a full coat of resin now. Yeah, looks absolutely horrendous. But whenever you do this system, i.e. like a skinning system, this is generally what they look like until you start flattening it and then recoating it. But I'm hoping that we've saved it, so I'll come back to it a bit later. There we go. We have got 3 coats of resin on this now. Basically just leaving each layer to go just beyond being tacky, so it's kind of hardened off but it's still sticky, and then you whack the next coat on and then that will bond nicely to the previous coat. So it looks a lot better. It still looks horrendous because we've got a lot of ripple, but hopefully now we've got enough resin on there to pretty much knock 90% of that back to being smooth. Right, we're back with the old mudguard look. This is a few days down the line now, but basically I've basically cut it all out. There was no point in kind of recording all that because it's boring. But as you can see, we've cut it right back to the original mudguard. There. All the way around. So now, there we go, look. Obviously we've still got all the flatting to do and whatnot, but hopefully we've now got a basic shape. So let's have a little go of, well, yeah, see if this will pull out of the original, pull off of the original mudguard. Right, hopefully you can see this. Can you see that? So that is just breaking away, look, just peeling off of there. So fingers crossed we can literally just hopefully kind of scoop this out. Probably not going to be quite as straightforward as I'm hoping because of the actual shape. Tell you what, let's get some helpers, some persuaders in there. Oh, look at that. Ready? Ha! Look at that. There we go. One mudguard, look. And there's our essentially our release mechanism. Yeah, that's it. So that done the job, didn't it? Look at that. Pleased with that. Awesome. So we've basically gone from this to this. You see these that little line that was there hardly shows now, and we can just tell everyone it's just in the design, isn't it? Nobody needs to know. But yeah, awesome. Right. Next stage, get it all nice and smooth. So here we go. This is all ready now for lacquering. I've flatted all the resin back so it's smooth. Now we're going to fire a couple of coats of lacquer on and make it all shiny. There we go. All nice and shiny. So we managed to save it from the disaster that it was. Just needs a bit of a flat and polish now. Right, there we go. It's actually on now, obviously. But I did kind of forget about this project, this little mudguard project. I've been trying so hard to get the bike finished that I completely forgot. So apologies. Yeah, not the greatest view of it now it's on the bike, but you'll have to take my word for it. It looks great and we managed to save it. So all's well that ends well. So yeah, if you want to have a little cheat at doing some carbon, by all means have a go. But as we see, or as we'd seen, it doesn't always go to plan. But maybe that's part of the fun of messing around in the garage, eh? Well, that's it. I'm going to carry on and get this old girl ready. So cheers for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.